place like Tombstone, how many years of memories and experience has been created there, and how many of those will want to share those, what they went through in their life and what they experienced in their life. You know, when you go to an historic place like this, you can almost be assured that there's going to be someone in spirit or that is going to want you to know what it was like there. And that weekend will be no exception, I'm sure.
Oh, it's going to be epic. That's the only thing, that's the only word that I can really cover it with. It's going to be epic. And, you know, there's been, all kinds of stuff that, it is not going to happen. It is happening, and if you miss it, then that's on you, because I'm telling you right now, you're not going to want to miss any of this, because these spirits and this, I know there's spirits there, because the last thing I know, and on the Bill Chappell note, let me just say thank you, Bill Chappell, because his amazing SLS, Justin Spurrier and I have set out on a thing called Spirit Quest, and it's to really learn from other investigators and from spirits together, and maybe compile the information to further the field a little bit to, get the questions answered that we have. Well, we were at Sloss Furnaces using Bill Chappell's amazing SLS, and I'm not going to tell everything, but let me just say that not only did we thank him so much for it, but that thing is amazing. We caught not only something once, but we caught it twice, and it was something historical, and it was mind-blowing. So, yeah, your friend Bill Chappell is a genius, but we will have the SLS with us there. Justin will have that with him, so you will get to see that in action, and hopefully we can get all that caught on film,
Well, the first time I actually met Bill was several years ago. We was filming for a documentary for the Sci-Fi Channel, and we was in this location, and he had me hooked up with heart monitors and blood pressure monitors, and I was all monitored up, and they were, as I was connecting and sharing messages from this one in spirit, he was monitoring all this, and I didn't know it at the time. They shared with me after we was done with the filming. Actually, the filming was being edited at the time, but they shared with me that he was monitoring all this, and all of a sudden he was next to one of the producers, and he was next to him, and he said, all of a sudden he said, "Rick has no vitals." And they said, "What?" And they said, "He has no heartbeat. He has no blood pressure. There's no vitals." And just as soon as he said that, the vitals came on again. And he said, "Rick literally was not here for a few seconds." And the producer looked at him and he said, "Well, I'm looking right at him and he's talking and he's sharing the messages, so he's still here, so don't worry about it." And Bill told me later, he said it wasn't the equipment, it was literally like you left your body or something. He said it was like you. And I said, "Well, I don't know what happened, but I feel fine." Don't worry about it. So.
I must have astral projected and took my vitals with me for a minute.
Then we had another experience. If you ever get to talk to Bill, you have to ask him about this, but we was doing another filming in another location, and I was connecting with this little spirit that was a child, and it was right next to me, because it was this child's spirit was a little concerned about all she called the big people in this building. And Bill had, I believe, 2 or 3 different types of equipment that's going down this hallway to monitor the video, the shadows that was coming across the hallway. And one of his assistants came up, and he was working with something on the computer, and I was sitting next to him, and I was talking to this little girl. And I said to this little girl, I said, "You want to have some fun?" And this little girl in spirit shared with me, yes. And I said, "Tell your friends to go out," and I said, "Tell your friends to go and play with the equipment. It won't hurt you. It won't burn you. Just go and play with the equipment." Well, about a couple minutes later, one of Bill's assistants came up, and he said, "Bill, we got a problem." He said, "All 3 pieces of equipment have frozen." And Bill said, "There's no way." He said, "They're on different circuits." He said, "There's no way they froze." He said, "They all froze at the same time." So Bill left, and a few minutes later, I'll never forget, he come back and he sat down, and I said, "Get it fixed?" He said, he looked at me, he had this smile on his face. He said, yes, and I heard what you told that, whoever's next to you, what to do. He said, thank you very much. So,
oh, wow.
Wow. But Bill's a great guy, and Bill is again, he has taken his abilities and his path and purpose and created some amazing pieces of equipment for this industry. So, and if you're going to have that out there too, so I'm very aware of what you're sharing about the SLS, and if you're having that out there, I'm sure we will be capturing some things out there with that.
Oh, that'll be amazing. I mean, we were so blown away by the sheer just technology that went into that. And, we tried the regular Connect thing at a place in Waco, Belton, Texas area called the Weedamine. And we actually captured a figure on the stairwell. And then that was just the one on, that you actual Connect that you hook up to your, the big old monitor and then all this crap. Well, this is just so much better because it's handheld and it's got recorded and it's just amazing. Well, we were at Sloss as well, and we also had a little spirit come up and stand next to me. Children's spirits are attracted to me for some reason, and I was told by Robin Marie that she did my numerology chart. I'd never had that done before, and I didn't really understand about it. So she did it, and she said that my numbers tell her that I'm a guardian angel here on Earth for children to help them find peace or something like that. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. Because my whole life, kids, little babies, little children, they've always, come to me, been comfortable coming to me and attracted to me, laugh at me, just kind of drawn to me. So it kind of made sense, but it was also kind of sad because it makes me sad when there are little children spirits that are, I wouldn't say stuck, because I don't think they're stuck. I mean, I don't feel that they're stuck. I think they're just visiting, and some are just not knowing sometimes that they're actually gone. I don't know. Can you explain what you thought? Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's another thing that I may be out of the normal in the paranormal, because there's a lot in this industry feels like spirits are trapped in location or children are trapped in location. They're not trapped. I shared with one, we went to this location. They said, Rick, before you go in there, just to let you know, there's a lot of spirits in there that are trapped. I looked at him and I said, have you ever captured any of those while you was investigating there, have you ever captured anything going through walls? And they said, oh, yeah, many times. I said, well, if they can go through walls, how can they be trapped? And so I don't feel like they're trapped per se. I feel like they just, as we have choices here in life, they choose to be there for whatever reason. They may be there to help us to understand their part of their life there. They may be there to if you're in a residence that they had lived in, they may be there just because they choose to be. But they're not trapped at all. And just the same with children. Children are, I'm like you. I feel when, just as you do with your children here on Earth, when you're talking with them, you don't stand over them because it intimidates them. You stoop down to their level. And I'll do the same thing with the child in spirit. I will actually go and stoop to their level so they won't be intimidated. But there's a children in spirit are just they choose to be where they want to be.
Okay, that makes me feel better because I just being an empath too. Me feeling stuff so much more than your regular Joe that kind of cuts all that off of themselves. I really feel deeply. I can't even watch TV and stuff, sometimes because if there's something happens to a little kid, or anybody really, animals or anything, I can't deal with it. It's just so sad to me. And it just makes me in a place where I don't really like, thinking of how cruel people are and, things like that, and how can they do that, and, things like, it just gets me to thinking, so I just stopped doing all that. But when it comes to children, like I went to the Villisca Axe Murder House, and I felt they were so scared, and the little spirits that were there, they were scared, and I was like, okay, So we sat down on the floor in their room, and we're trying to play ball. You know, like just telling them, you know, we're all parents. You know what I mean? You know, we love children. Don't be afraid of us. You know, and that's what we did at Andrew Jackson Hotel in New Orleans too. Was that the children had died there from a fire, and there was a little boy spirit that this lady was picking up on in the corner, and so we all sat down on the floor in Indian style, and he actually came out of the corner and sat down in between us. And I was like, that is cool, because we didn't want to intimidate him. You know, there was a grandma in the room. There were actually 2 grandmas in the room, and then there were mothers and aunts. So we all just let the little baby, you know, little boy spirit know that we weren't going to hurt him. You know, that to come out of the corner and, you know, don't be afraid. And you sometimes have to do that because, yeah, a lot of people coming into a room with a spirit, that is overwhelming, as it would be to anybody alive. You know what I'm saying? When you're bringing 30 people in there and demanding that they talk, and it's like, well, I don't want to talk around all these people. You know what I mean? That's too much. And, you know, I noticed that, you know, when you have public investigations like at events, it's not a true investigation because there's not enough real time to get comfortable with the spirits or let them get comfortable with you to communicate. And there's so many people coming in on them. You know, it's like almost, I don't know, it is overwhelming to them, I'm sure, because it is to me. You know, and I'm not the spirit. So I would see that.
If you think about the locations that has been investigated a lot, it's just if you think about your own home, if you constantly have people coming into your door, you know, constantly, after time it's going to be, how many times do I have to answer, what is your name? Is anyone here? You know, and you know, and so, you know, and one of the places I've actually been 9 times in the last 12 years is a place called Waverly Hills, and I actually had the opportunity to go there before it actually was up in the public. It was soon after in the public eye, and the difference between now and back then is the last time we was there, I was part of an investigation team and was at an event, and we literally I was watching these individuals going into one. When we went into one room, they go into the next room, and I actually shared with one of the paranormal investigators. I said his meter would go off, his equipment go off, but then I'd say she went into the next room. Well, it would go off, then it would stop, and then we go in the next room and it'd start again. But I said, well, she went back in the other room, and it was almost like they were ignoring. You know, it's like, okay, enough's enough. And, you know, and the investigator asked me, they said, well, why is she doing that? I said, well, think about it. I said, Tina, the owner of Waverly, shared with me from January to May, they had over 10,000 people investigate this place. Can you imagine having 10,000 people coming to your home and saying, is anyone here? What is your name? I said, after a while, it's going to be like, okay, have you guys not got it yet? We're here, you know? And
yeah.
So, and I think in a place
Did
like
you die here?
Yeah, and I think when you go into a place like that that has been investigated often and a lot, you need to go in there with a different perspective. You need to go in there with a different way of communication. You know, just like if you're going to visit someone that you haven't visited for a while, but you're returning, you've visited them several times, you're returning to them, you don't go into their home and say, now what's your name again? Now, you know, why do you live here? You begin having just a normal conversation, and that's what I shared with him. Once we started doing that, then we started having his validation on his equipment really started taking off. And I said, you know, in fact, he was in the hallway, and I said, and we asked this simple question, like, you know, not why are you here, or is anyone here? We asked a different type of question, and that is, I immediately said, we have eight here. There's eight of them here. And so he asked, he said, you just heard Rick say there's 8 of you here. Are there 8 here? And immediately on his equipment, it said 8. And so they were getting a validation, yes, it's 8. So, yeah, when you go in places like this, and if you're going to a place for the first time and it hasn't been investigated often, it's okay to ask those questions. But when you go in and you continually ask that if you keep going, having people coming and going and going, and